Hello and welcome to another episode of our expedition run, where we just play one weekly expedition. And with this one, we have finally our favorite champion, or my favorite champion, the Kindred, highest mastery open expeditions. And of course, Kindred got buffed to a 4-mana 4/3, which I don't think is necessarily a huge buff, because the 3 health makes it way more vulnerable in the mid game. But we also have the Twisted Fate first to the draw and the Disruption Swain. Let's take a look at those archetypes first before we move into the actual game and draft. First of all, this first to the draw is the Mono Bilgewater card pool based around Twisted Fate and like drawing cards, leveling him up. But overall, this has just no clear direction. It has some aggressive early game units, Jagged Budget, Jailbreak, Pool Shark, and some damage spells, Make It Rain, Parley, and then just some mid-game cards, Petty Officer, the Allegiance card, some late-game in the Citrus Courier, Runeterra. So you can build a decent curve with it, but it has a lot of bad cards in it. Warning Shot, you don't want in your deck, pick a card, Bayou Branch, and all the epics are kinda bad, except Lariat Rose, so I don't really ever want this card pool to be my main card pool, because you're so luck dependent. It's like you can have a pack that has Lounging Lizard, Bayou Branch, and you just can't pick that. So that's why I generally don't like the first to the draw card pool as my main bucket. On the other side, we have the Disruption Swain, and Swain, of course, levels up when you deal non-combat damage, and once he levels up, he stuns enemies. So he's a natural combination with Yasuo. Yasuo also levels up when stunning enemies, and when you stun enemies, you deal damage to it. So if you have both on the board, then you have this wombo combo, Yasuo stun stuff, and then Swain stun stuff, and then Yasuo kills them. And in this archetype, we have a bunch of stun cards and recall cards and damage cards. So like 3 different themes going on, and you can't really control which one of those you get the most. For example, if you have a Steel Tempest, it's terrible with Swain, because it only stuns attacking enemies. If you have a Death's Hand, it's terrible with Yasuo. So I generally, if I would try to make this archetype work, I would go for either the Yasuo or the Swain. And another big problem with this card bucket is it has like Blade's Edge in it, which is terrible, Guile is terrible, Apprehend is terrible. Like all of these stun cards, Nopify, Steel Tempest only do something if you actively have your Yasuo on the board, if you actively go for the combination. And if you just look at the Noxus side, we have like the Legion General is a payoff, and like a mediocre big cards, but like you can build a decent curve with it, but sometimes you will just see Blade's Edge, Apprehend, and regret your life choices. So we have like a 1-drop, and the Glory Seeker, and Culling Strike, Accurate Sentry, Varian, so you can build a decent aggressive Noxus deck, but we just did that last episode, so I don't want to move right into that again when you have a very valid third option in the Slayer's archetype. And this one is pairing up Kindred with Narcissus, and Kindred of course levels up when you slay 2 units with the mark, and the first time you slay a unit each round, Kindred marks the weakest enemy, and on round end they get killed. And this is like a little bit worse and constructed, where you can actively like override your units or just deny the mark multiple ways. For example, Kindred feels awful to play versus recalls, because they just recall your cannon and you use the mark for the turn. In expeditions, it's harder to do. It's like a lot more mid-range focused, so Kindred was historically a lot more stronger in expeditions, and I think with the buff they will even be more stronger. By the way, they are like 2 people. It's a lamb and a wolf, so I will be addressing Kindred as they during the draft. And yeah, otherwise the level up makes it unkillable, so when you level up Kindred and have them survive, then it's basically game over. And this card bucket is pretty good. It has the 6-mana Vengeance in it, and has a little bit of bad cards like Spirit Journey, another card I really like, Ethereal Remitter. Of course, the goal is to trigger the Kindred Slay, but there are better ways to do that, like Battle Caretaker, for example, and even Must Mother, Glimpse Beyond. And you have all these sacrificables. And the idea of pairing it up with Narcissus is Narcissus gets bigger over time when you slay units, and then he gets like the spell shield stuff, so you have like your other win condition. I don't think this is the only way to build Kindred. Kindred is like very flexible of a champion. You can go into multiple archetypes. I really want to test them out. and see how good they actually are now. For if you look at the other buckets, for example, this would be like a 3, this would also be a 3, and this would be probably a 9 from the bucket ratings. I would probably not look at the other cards, but if you look at them, you have a good filler card, a filler card, and a filler card, and then a very situational card, a bad card, and a very situational card. So it doesn't really change my evaluation at all. Of course, I would love starting with other cards. Again, Spirit's Journey is very hard to use and can save your unit sometimes. It can deny your opponent like a powerful effect. And in general, I don't really like it as a physical card. Kindred Flip is also Spirit Journey, so you get this anyways. Astral Fox is a card I also don't like. 4 mana 3/3 fearsome. It's just below stats line I want for my units. And this deal 3 damage any maxes doesn't really matter all that often because you're not really aggressive with Kindred. In my experience, I like Kindred more as a slow mid-range deck or control deck. So let's see how this will work out. We have some interesting choices for a second bucket in the Ascension Azir, in the Malefic Descent Shyvana, and the Noxian Might Darius. Let's take a look at all of these different archetypes first before we make a decision. Ascension Azir shows up because we picked up Kindred. Kindred is paired with Shurima, so we were bound to face a Shurima champion. And this Ascension Azir is based around ascending to level 3, basically having this very Sundisk win condition, doing this countdown stuff, and then leveling up to level 3. And we have some different themes going on here. First of all, we have the Sand Soldier theme with the Emperor's Dice, Arise, Desert's Wrath, and then we have some countdown cards, Clockwork Curator, Imagine Possibilities, Steam Hierophant, and the Preservationist. And overall, it doesn't really have one coherent game plan. This bucket is split apart in this Sand Soldiers, in general good units like Rockhopper, and doesn't really have one big plan going for it. And unless you are like one Shurima, which we won't be, this Ascension Azir is generally a bad pickup. So I'm going to not go for this here, because we have two way better options in the Noxian Might and Malefic Descent. Let's start with Noxian Might, because like this is a very solid option. The archetype is of course around Darius. Darius got buffed to a 6/6 instead of a 6/5, and also to a 10/7, so he's way harder to kill now. And I generally really like Noxus with Kindred. I've done a Noxus Kindred run before, so I kind of want to switch it up a little bit. And our last run was Noxus, so I kind of want to switch it up a little bit, not just draft the same deck over and over again. But basically, if you come in here, pick Legion Rearguard, Glory Seeker, Hopeful, and Trafarian as a curve, Thorn of the Rose into like a turn 4 Basilisk Rider. That's so good already. And the Glory Seeker is just amazing with Kindred, because oftentimes I will want to play like a Screeching Dragon, for example, and you play down your Kindred on turn 4, and then you can just come in with the Glory Seeker and take down this dragon. And also having access to Whirling Death is really powerful with Kindred, because most decks have to kill Kindred with combat, and then you can really get them. And you also have protection cards like Sharpened Resolve and Noxus, so definitely a decent option. And the other option we have is the Malefic Descent Shyvana. Malefic Descent, one of the strongest archetypes if you are just Mono Demacia, because there's basically no bad cards in it. It's of course based around the Shyvana here, and the fact that you want to level her up with the dragons, dealing plus 12 plus damage, and then she becomes this unkillable monster, attacking over and over again, generating these strafing strikes. And of course, because we are in Shadow Isles already, we will see the Shadow Isles half as well as the Screeching Dragon half. Screeching Dragon, of course, the big build around if you go for dragons. And I don't really like the Shadow Isles half that much, although it's fine with Kindred. For example, Calling Viper Worm triggers our Kindred because it slays something, similar with the Bad Caretaker. And then we have Cameron Dragon and just the Undying and Cameron Soldier giving us some fuel for killing stuff. Session is a dead card, so we will maybe see some packs where we don't want to pick up anything from this Malefic Descent bucket. But I kinda, I tried Shyvana with Viego once and didn't really work out. I didn't have a successful Shyvana run on this channel, so I kinda want to give that another shot. Combining this with the fact that we just did Noxus and Noxus aggro last run. I kinda want to mix it up again. But I think it's really close between those two. Like, I can see arguments for this Noxian Might, especially if you start with a Glory Seek already, and the big mid-game card and the Weapons of the Lost, which typically play this in turn 5 or 6. Just killing a unit, getting this 6-5 shield break is really powerful. And in the middle we have another solid pack with the Researcher, just a good value unit, you can sacrifice it early on, it holds down the fort, and single combat, just a good interaction spell, and Shyvana. So because we played Noxus last time, I want to mix it up and go for the Shyvana here, but I definitely think both of those are options, and definitely think if you want to build around Shyvana, you should avoid Shadow Eyes. So I'm still going to try to build around Kindred most of the time, and of course Azir coming in here with this unplayable card and a bad card in our what we want to do. So let's pick up this Malefic Descent Shyvana here. This is our starting curve. We have a lot of force already, so we kind of want to avoid force a little bit here, which we will not have success with. So Sand and Ashes is the Sand Searcher build around, as you can see here with the Desert Seraph and the Making Sands. Of course, that's not going to be our theme this draft, so no need to move into this bucket. And we have to decide if we want to be more in Malefic Descent or more in Slayers. So we give a big signal to the draft right here. If we pick up Malefic Descent, we will most likely see Viego as our third champion. And if we pick Slayers, we just kind of stay a little bit open. But if we just look at the card quality, Astral Fox, I already talked about that, I don't like this card. Atrocity is a finisher, but generally you don't need finishers in these decks, because you have the better late game anyways, so you will just kill them in the late game after some time. So I don't really see a big need for Atrocity. I like having one, because if you face like against Pimo, for example, against Mushrooms, can be game winning to kill them in time before you die to buff caps. But over here we have Spirit Bleach, just a good card advantage, engine, and triggers our Kindred. Remembrance, just a really solid card. They always give you a 4-5 at least, especially if you have something die. It's really a powerful card, and just these two cards are better than these two cards, so I'm going to go for the left side here. But again, we have 4 4-drops now, so that's definitely a little too much for the start of the draft. Not really something we can do about just how the draft went so far. And here's our first wild pick. Afterlife would be a decent move because it also has the Vengeance in it. So this is like the Callista Mono Shadow Eyes bucket, but Absorb Soul is really unplayable. Warden Spray is a decent filler unit, but not really something I want to start with in my deck. Like, okay, sacrifice, gives you another card back. It's like a 50-50 to be a good card or like an ephemeral card. In the middle you have the Martian Steel, another like the Garen Elite archetype, also not really something I'm looking for. Golden Aegis would be a decent effect to have, like having one rally in my decks, but this would just be another 4-drop, and as we saw of our curve here, we really don't want another 4-drop position, not a bad one, like the Vanguard Sky. We're not doing the Elite theme, it will always be a 4-mana 3-3, and this is even worse than our 4-mana 3-3 Fearsome over here. This is off to the right side, and this is actually decent. I don't really like Doombeast, it's an okay card, gives you some life and is a creature, but I really like Unspeakable Horror. Just having these 2-mana combat tricks with Kindred used to be historically very good, because you could just bank up 2 mana, and Unspeakable Horror is just such a powerful card, because it can give you like Eclipse Dragons, it can give you the 3-mana Targon Invoke card, and then Black Mist would also be a decent bucket to move into. It has like the 6-mana Drain 5 spell, and just decent removal overall. So again, card quality pick, but I think it's a pretty obvious one. Hey. And this is a big decision point of the draft. Over here we have this Atrocity showing up again in the Malefic Descent, so that would be an option that we can go for. And Dragon Knight Lieutenant of course is decent, although we don't really want to build around dragons. That will be more of a filler creature, but even if you have just one dragon in the deck, this card is totally playable. 2-mana 3-2 just is good, and is totally fine even if you don't have any dragons in your deck. And in the other two buckets we would have a 4-drop to pick up. I really like the Bugu Sentinel. This is a very powerful card, just a 3-mana 5-4 Fearsome. That's basically a Viego, so 3-mana Viego without the Black Mist shenanigans. So that's just really insane. And But I don't really like the second Spirit Leech. Like these, if you take up too many Spirit Leeches, you just have too many 4-drops. And for example, this Wave Caller over here would be the way better 4-drop. So for me, it's between the right side. Again, the Speakable Horror is very good. Wave Caller, if you go more into Shadow Isles, is good as well. Even if you hit, even if you miss, it's a 4-mana 4/3, which is not the worst. And if you hit, it's a 4-mana 6/5. So basically a 4-mana Darius. Really, really strong. And the question is, do we have too many 4-drops to not pick up the Black Mist here and pick up the Atrocity instead with the Dragon Guard Lieutenant? Or do we just accept the second another 4-drop here? A really close pick. I mentally have locked out from this middle bucket because I don't want another Spirit Leech, but Wave Call is just a pretty powerful build around. I think I will go with the right side here. We are in Slayers and Malphite Descent, so we will see more atrocities in the future, and I want to have the option to pick it up with a better card, and this keeps us more open towards drafting random stuff, but we really have to watch our 4-drops now. It's a really big problem here. Okay, Arachnophilia over here is the Spider's Swarm archetype, and we don't want this card. We don't have this early game to support it and to have units die constantly, and if you can't play this card, it's an unplayable card, so I don't want that. Furthermore, the Phantom Prankster is terrible stat line 0/3, only does something if you have a lot of allies die, and we're currently not a Swarm deck, we're more of a mid-range deck with a bunch of 4-drops. So the details of the other two buckets. The Martian Steel is decent, 1 mana 2/2 is fine, playable, and 8 mana 8/8 is also fine. But over here on the right side, we have just better cards. Remembrance, again, very good card, especially in these Shadow Isles, the Demacia decks. And Succession, also pretty good card, very flexible. You can play with spell mana, you can play it on turn 2, you can play it on turn 3, play it whenever you want. And Retribution is also just a bucket I want to have showing up, because it has Vengeance in it. It's decent, so very clear right side here for me. Another redrop and another. Really unhappy with the curve currently, but let's see what we can do to fix it. And this is also very interesting between two Piercing Darkness showing up. Piercing Darkness is a very solid card. 6 mana, deal 5, usually kills most stuff, basically like a Sunburst, that it can also be used against aggressive strategies with the Drain. And in the middle we have a Hapless Aristocrat, which is a premium pickup for our deck as well, because we want these early game units to sacrifice to like our Spirit Leeches and Glimpse Beyonds. Diving Strike would also be okay, although we're not really building around dragons, so it would just be a 3 mana single combat. But I think I want one of the Piercing Darknesses here. Question is which one, because we have one Wave Caller here. We could try to build around this Mist Wave strategy, although I think we are kind of a little bit far off of this right now, and I would rather go with the more solid card in the Bugu Sentinel. If this was like a Unspeakable Horror, I would go for the Mist Wave, but I think the Bugu Sentinel is just such a powerful card that I'm going to go for the right side here. And I count everything above 5 or 5 as hard removal, and everything below as small removal. That's my border point. And here we see another wild pick, and influenced by our current picks. We had Retribution we picked up before, Arachnophilia we picked up before. And we immediately see 2 4-drops showing up. With our current curve, I really want to avoid 4-drops. And another reason to go against this left bucket, despite having an epic card, is this Haunted Relic. Just summoning 3 ephemeral units doesn't really do anything unless you have like immediately want to follow it up with a Spirit Leech or other Slays energies we currently don't have enough of. So this is like out. I don't want another Astral Fox. Rekindle would be okay, would be a card I want to pick up, but not that high of a priority. And I will just go over here with the first Screeching Dragon. This is just a very powerful card with both of our units, allows us to slay something, get in combat with our Kindred, and On Guard is a filler card. I like having one of these effects, but not more than this. So, really easy right side here with one Screeching Dragon and one support spell. And here we see what we actually wanted to reach. Slayers, Malphite and Black Mist once more. We stayed open and can now give the deck a little bit of a signal where we want to go. And we currently have 2 dragons, so Dragon Chow is not that strong. Rune Dragon Guard would be very decent, but we currently don't really have the dragons to support the Dragon Chow. And again, I don't want Spirit Leech. We saw in our curve we have way too many 4-drops. We will pick up more 4-drops, most likely with more Kindreds or Shyvanas. Most likely Kindreds, maybe one Viego is mixing it up. So I don't really want the Spirit Leech, and we don't have enough sacrificables for the Crumble. So I'm just going to go here over the left. Unpickable Horror is really good. And Black Spear, also a solid card, just killing something for 4 or dealing 4 damage will kill most midrange units, like a Kindred for example. So 2 good removal spells over here, and I don't think we can really have too many of these unspeakable horrors. Still hoping they show us some vengeances at some point, but let's see. Okay, another wild pick here. And another Dragon Chow, again another card I really want, so we would just go for the right side if you want this Erica and have one dead card in our deck. Of course you can sacrifice Dragon Chow to like these Astral Foxes or Spirit Leeches, but that's not really something I want to put in my deck in the first place. So in the middle we have some life gain cards, but not really good life gain cards. You pay a cost on those. This is just a 3 mana 3/2 in the end of the day, so a little bit you want a 3/3 usually, so you pay a cost. But this tossing doesn't matter usually, so you wouldn't, unless you pick up 3 or 4 of those, this tossing doesn't matter. But it's still not a really good unit, it's fine. And Soul Gorge is just a very expensive guy that doesn't really kill that much. 3 attack is just really low, doesn't even heal you for a ton. So I'm going to go here for the left side, the Mage Conservator, and the Insider. We currently have 2 Remembrances and 1 Piercing Darkness already, and this is just a very solid pickup. And Conservator, of course, a good sacrificeable card, gives you a big spell for the later game and just holds you front in the early game. So I would say it's a pretty obvious left side here for me. You can argue for middle right, but I think the power level is just there on both cards, and I don't like picking 2 good cards over 1 good card, 1 bad card. And this is an interesting pick, Double Spirit's Journey. Thank you for showing me this. Of course we don't want that. That would just be pretty awful in our deck. So Malefic Descent coming in with another 2-drop and another single combat. I would like some more early game. We currently don't have enough early game. But on the right side we also have a Doom Beast Piercing Darkness. We currently have only like this Quest Keeper needs to be sacrificed. Most opponents won't block it. So otherwise you don't get this 4/2 out of it. And we have currently have a Spirit's Journey, Astral Fox and Spirit Leech, so not that much sacrifice stuff. It might still be worth it to pick up the single combat for power level, but if you look at our creatures currently, Red Frost Screeching Dragon and Shyvana and like the Remembrance cards, all of our units are small, so it would be more of a trade instead of an actual like 2-for-1, or like if you play this on a Doom Beast for example, trade with the 4/3 for example, then it would actually go down on cards. You use 2 cards and you only get 1 card out of it. So single combat not that good in our deck currently, and I think I will just go for the right side here in the Doom Beast and another Piercing Darkness. If you don't find any vengeances, Piercing Darkness can kind of replace those, and just having a bunch of life gain helps you if you have like less early game. Just helps you come back in the game. Just incidentally. I will go for the right side here. I can see arguments for middle as well. And a perfect pack here for us. This is why I wanted to like pick up Retribution once. This is just very good. We didn't build around Mist Traps at all, so Wisdom Mist is just a 4 mana 2/2, which is a terrible rate, and we don't have the early game sacrificeables for Crumble. Similarly, we don't have the Dragons for Dragon Guard Lookout, so this would just be a 6 mana 3/5. And if you want the Accurate Researcher, we can also get this in the middle pack, paired up with another very good 3-drop. Just a 3 mana 3/3 is fine even if you don't draw a card. And if it just replaces itself, it's even better. A really solid card, and Accurate Researcher one of the strongest early game units in the game. But it's also good if you drop the it late. This does basically everything. We kind of fixed our curve here a little bit. I would still like some more early game. This is just what happens sometimes if you draft around Shadow Eyes, and you just sometimes get stuck with no early game. And now we sadly pushed out the Malefic Descent bucket. That's not really what I wanted to happen, but kinda what we were forced to do. Like Mist now shows up with 2 bad cards. Like Mist's Call is not really a card I like in my decks. It's very hard to use oftentimes if you have like a 1-1 lying around and it just dies, then you can't play Mist Call anymore because it has the chance of bringing back your 1-1. And another Spirit Leech, we don't have these early game units to sacrifice the Spirit Leech, so that's just not really an option. I talked about Azir Fox multiple times now. Neverglade Collector would be okay, but we again don't have the early game small units to die over and over to give us more lifesteal. I'm just going to go here over to the right side with another good flexible card in the Succession, can be played on turn 2, and the Silverwing Vanguard, and hopefully we have Lucian showing up as our second pick then. And yeah, definitely a bit of a mid-range heavy curve, not that optimal, but we will see what we can do here. And for our last pick, Afterlife, Spirit Leech and Grasp of the Undying. Grasp of the Undying would be decent, but as you can see, we have a decent amount of small removal already. We are not really in a rush of picking this up. The middle pack would help us fix up our early game, but like Caretaker kinda relies on having early game in the first place, otherwise it's just a 3-mana 1-1. I would like a Fading Icon, but I don't think this deck supports a Blighting Caretaker right now. Instead I will go for the good cards here. We post a card you definitely don't expect if you play against Kindred Shyvana with mostly Shadow Eyes. So this is just really good for the surprise factor. Kind of notice we are like split now for the Wavecrawler, so maybe a card we want to trade out, but again, Wavecrawler totally playable even if you don't hit the Legions. Just a 4-mana 4-3, it's definitely playable. Similar to like running out of Spirit Leech or just having this Azir Fox. Definitely not a bad card even if you don't hit the Legions of it, like 50%. I'm going to go here on the right side with the Swiftwing Dancer and Repost. Just having one combat trick is usually really helpful with Kindred. And just pick up this good 5-drop here. You can see arguments for middle, but I don't think the Blighted Caretaker is supported enough in our deck. And this leaves us with our trade pick. And we see once again how our trade picks represent what we drafted as buckets. We have like this one being the Retribution or Malefic Descent bucket. This one can be like any bucket of the other ones, probably Slayers. And this one, Malefic Descent or any of the like Retribution, Shadow Eyes buckets. For actual trade, I think I want to get rid of this On Guard. We don't have the early game to support it. And I would like to have one more 5-drop. Boo Sentinel is quite good. I also like this bottom trade, Succession into Agate Researcher, but Succession can be a 2-drop, can be flexible, and On Guard is just a dead card if you have no early game or no good curve. This would be my trade here. 3. And yeah, here is our final deck. Definitely interesting. I would like some early game, some more tapped aristocrats, just not really how this draft shaped up. And it's sad because both Malefic Descent and the Slayers have the aristocrat as far as I know. We can take a look together. Malefic Descent has aristocrat and conservator, and the Slayers also has the aristocrat. So we're kind of getting unlucky not seeing more of those, despite our packs being always Malefic Descent, always Slayers. But that's something that happens, and you have to like take what you get in expeditions and do the best of it. Not the strongest deck I've ever had, but maybe the power of Demacia and Shadow Eyes can carry us through our games. First game here versus Mono Reliod in the Lissandra and Ashe. So Lissandra is either Incubators or Glacial Landmarks, so they will be doing something with landmarks. Ashe is something with Frozen Solid or Blood in the Eyes, so Frostbite. So this is stall deck, and there's a really high chance that they have a Howling Abyss. So I want to be a little bit aggressive here, and I'm actually going to keep this Doom Beast just as having a early game play. And this is a very good curve. You can do Succession into Doom Beast on turn 3. Or we can just, well, I forgot to switch my deck again, unfortunately. Sorry for, like, I don't know why I keep messing up my boards lately, but I will remind myself to do that afterwards. So auto pass is turned on. You should always turn it off if you play for winning. And again, you could just play the Accurate Researcher here, but I want to be doing damage, because I think it's a very high chance that they have a Howling Abyss, because it's just like in all 3 of those buckets. And just generally want to be a little bit aggressive here. Ruthless Raider is unfortunate. I think this trade is okay. I can have a Brittle Steel here and get me, but they don't. So okay, they don't have Brittle Steel, which is good for me. So it's just like we trade a little bit down in mana, but what are you going to do against this good 2-drop? And this one doesn't actually live in any of these card buckets, so I think they're not really that focused on their teams. And here against Lissandra, our Doom Beast doesn't do anything, so I'm just going to run at my Accurate Researcher. Pick up the Empyrean, which is very good. And give us some reach in the later game if we have to. And it's no attack, obviously. Like, why would you attack? It's a free attack. So here I'm just going to play Kindred, I think. Could also go for the Wavecaller 50-50, but I think Kindred is just stronger. We currently don't have the power to kill Kindred. If they like weirdly pass here and hold up a Fury of the North, just pass back. And Freljord doesn't have any hard removal, so the best they can do is like double shatter it for them. But otherwise they are not really threatening. If they play like a 2-mana 3-1 again, then it's in danger of dying from the Frostbites, then I would just not attack. Currently there's nothing, and now just passing because they have like a Fury of the North for stuff, and I don't want to run into that. We just don't need to do anything here. They have a Kindred established now, and even if they have the Howling Abyss, it will be tough for them to stop my Kindred at this point. And again, they have Freljord, I have no way to deal with that.
I will unite the Freljord. It
And
is your
here,
ambition worth dying for.
I think I'm just going to run out this Doom Beast or the Wavecaller. I think Wavecaller is better. Because it gives me Mist Wave, I guess. So they could have, they definitely have like a Frostbite effect here. So play Doom Beast and block, and it dies, I can still Black Spare, I like that. Let's play out the Doom Beast, they will attack, Frostbite my Kindred, I will block, they will Frostbite my Doom Beast dies, then I Black Spare the Ashe down, and they have no units. Because this also dies to the Kindred Slay. That's my current game plan, and to stop that I needed like a... What does even stop that? I need like a Frostbite and a Road Champion. So let's go for this block. I'm not caring about these 2 damage. I think we are not. We are going to be aggressive. Here comes the Frostbite effect. Our unit dies, and then we get to use our Black Spear and take down both champions of our opponent. And this is the power of Kindred.
It knows.
You know what you're doing, you will win a lot with them. And here, there's not really any reason to not open attack here. There's also no reason to open attack. I'm just going to play out the Wavecaller. Don't hit, which is fine. And the best they can do is like play an Alpha Wildclaw. But even then, I think if like it's more likely that they have like more Frostbites, more combat tricks and stuff. Or like an Howling Abyss. If I open attack and they go Howling Abyss, that would feel bad. Nice little Archer. Okay. Now I'm just going to play a Accurate Researcher. This would mean that they can't play anything else, because otherwise attack everything and Mark gets triggered. So they technically want 1 unit on the board, because then our Mark doesn't get activated at all. But now we can just activate everything. And even this trade is fine, because we just want our Kindred Flip, and Kindred Flip just wins the game against this Freljord.
Stay back. Ready the torches.
Yeah, that's totally fine. This gives us Kindred Flip. Now we can basically not lose the game, unless they have a Poison the Cold.
Their pulse fades away.
On to the next.
You always have to keep in mind your opponent's regions and what they want to do. Bobby 420. Picking up one of Freljord here is risky.
If they're out there.
And now we will just outvalue them slowly. Breaching Dragon, single combat. 7-drop dragons. I now will just hold up the single combat here. Don't really see a way that they can kill our board. Maybe like double 8 cost guy with the stairs. Would be annoying.
Winter is the Freljord's true ruler.
And I think I will just go Screeching Dragon and then single combat down the Rhyme Tusk Shaman. That should just be game. Might also have like a frostbite effect here, so I'm just actually not going for it. Fine if they frostbite my Kindred here, because I just have a very good board now, and they can go for the Little Stairs here, wipe away my small units, but then they also can challenge here, and Little Stairs dies. Ice Fake basically the same thing if they have that. Buried in Ice would be annoying. This is also an epic Buried in Ice, and 9 mana. Tomb all of the landmarks. Okay. What do you have? This is a fleeting card. Shatter. So they have the... Interesting, they have the face up. Oh, they want to kill my Kindred, that makes sense. But sadly that's not how it works. They can reverse frostbite it again if they want to. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go for the Slay trigger here, because that will mean our Kindred gets buffed up to a 6 again. And now the Shatter just doesn't kill them.
Its heart beats fast now.
It knows.
And of course there's no reason to not attack here. We have a lot of damage on the board, so we have to like use that. I can still have like a crazy card to come back. Okay, that's just fine. And now I'm not attacking, I would just push 2 damage here, and that's not worth it. So just attack you kill and keep grinding. Now we're really far ahead, so we should worry about like extreme cards. So like a She Who Wanders would obliterate every unit with more or less power. So unit would still survive. If that's there, it's totally fine here. Does that actually trigger my Kindred? Interesting, it doesn't. I'm just going to accept that. Again, this is like one way they can come back into the game if they have like 3 of those and 2 of those. Currently that's not enough.
Light is a lure.
Lay out my units here, and then I will go for the Dawning Shadows. If that stairs. Wooden Steel, okay. A little bit annoying. Still a resource from the hand. Then just draw for the draw here and see if we find some answers. Okay, that's not an answer. So a second if the stairs would actually destroy us here. Can't have, like, if they have it all, they have it all. Nothing we can do about that. Now with this one I don't want to Scout attack, I just want to go in. Scout attack doesn't really do anything, and this is a ton of damage. First takes them to 1, and then my Ezekiel Horror would be good enough. Another Brittle Steel, which means they have like 1 less resource to work with. And here, I guess that's fine. And just keep it like this first. And then if they go for another Idle Stairs, we can slay our own unit to get this trigger.
Patience.
Here I'm just going for the Remembrance first. 3, 6, yes, that works out. Now I have a Yeti. And that was a little bit unfortunate because now we can't put the mark on the Idle Stairs. Yes, it's fine. Let's just be mana efficient here and take down the Wording Stones. So this will slay the Trapper at the end of the turn.
They know, little lamb.
They will.
And they're out of cards in their hand, so they can't let his roll here, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, big Kindred on the board. And yeah, one card in hand, what will it be? Empyrean is quite, like, didn't come into handy yet, but so far they have no good attacks here. 8 can attack, but then it just block it. Doesn't even deal damage to us because of the Radiant Guardian. This doesn't even do anything. Totally fine with this trade.
Hope burns on.
I will just play out my Empyrean here. Don't think I can do anything to me. And just the open attack kills them. Okay, just roll the Yeti immediately. That is fine. I'm just going to actually shoot down the Yeti, and that just gives me a clear open attack lethal. And that should be game. Need like a harsh wins top deck, and then we win, but that doesn't matter. GG for B420. You tried your best, but Kindred OP. Jelly mode. That's the problem with mono Freljord. Sometimes you just don't have interaction, and then you can't do anything to your opponent. So let's switch over. And see what our draft pick is here. Malefic Descent, Slayers, and I guess the Black Mist with Nocturne. I don't want the Black Mist here. That really doesn't do anything. And we don't have any fearsome units for the Frenzy Skitterer. We don't have any good sacrificeable units for Spirit Leech. The side is out. And this makes us choose between Shyvana and Kindred. And Shyvana has the better cards here in the Screeching Dragon and Radiant Guardian. Let's take a look at our curve together here. We have 7 3-drops and only 3 5-drops. I think those are pretty close together, but I kind of want the right side here, just more life gain and just the better cards over the bad cat deck and more small removal. So this is just a purely curve pick. I don't think there's a big difference between Shyvana and Kindred here in our deck. Okay, next up was a holographic Lissandra and Malphite. Someone really likes landmarks. Big problem with landmarks is that they are slow in the early game, and I'm going to abuse this fact with our double 3-drop start, and we don't have any vengeances for Malphite, so we can actually lose to that. We just kinda have to see what we can do to not lose to that, I guess. This is why Succession is great, by the way. Let's change the board here, finally. If you just play like a starter peak here, or the best card would be the Erosion Sentry, like the 2-1. Okay, this is not in any of these buckets, so we know they picked up a Frostbite bucket. They have to be aware of more Frostbites in the future. Either Blood on the Ice or the Frozen Solid. And I will take this trade here. Okay, definitely. This is Frozen Solid, so it means they are like Freljord Frozen Solid, or like Ashe, Frostbites, Howling Abyss maybe. And I will just go for the better 3-drop, because this one does more stuff later. And I will just take this trade. If they have Frostbite, it's fine, I want to have it out of the way. And let's go for the Shyvana here. I have no way, like I can Sunburst it. Let's even like down, they go down on tempo this way. Otherwise I have no good answer for Shyvana here. Interesting answer. I think I still attack, do I?
They are nothing.
This life trade is good for us, I think. Yeah, this is of course in the late marks bucket, so this is not a surprise. The other two cards were a surprise. Just come in here, we can like trade. That's of course unfortunate. I will actually just pass. If you want to pass back, that's fine with me. We have use for the spell mana. Now we can get our big Radiant Guardian going. Block with Shyvana here.
Think your fear.
Is our Bugu Sentinel better than our Shyvana here? That's a serious question. Because if we can trigger this with a single combat, and then it's a 5-4, whereas Shyvana will go up to a 4-3 on attack. Still think Shyvana is better. Not sure about that though. The Tavern Keeper, of course, also a card. This is also unusual. Like this means Battle Scar, so I think they are pretty heavy in Freljord if they picked up so many Freljord cards, and less heavy in Targon. Yeah, this is fine as death. It's a 1-minute card here, but we get our Radiant Guardian going, and this is just a very hard card to deal with. We don't have a Sunburst, for example. And honestly, I'm kind of fine with this trade now. I guess this trade is kind of awkward. We even want to open attack here. We also like, well, we to open attack was before, and I want to play Radiant Guardian with my Shyvana dice. We can also, now we drew another dragon, we can also go for this. I think I'm just going to, if I go, my plan is Second Researcher plus Succession, and I'm not playing another unit here. I also just play Remembrance, but this would leave my shields down for like an Avalanche or stuff. So an Avalanche wouldn't even be that bad. I think this will be better later. I think I'm just going for the Second Researcher here, and then it's better to open attack.
I've carved meat bigger than you.
And yeah, this trade is fine.
I'm back next time.
Now they are forced to move first. I have a Wildclaw, of course. Pretty big unit. I have to block that multiple times.
The more we
Let's see what
learn,
dragon we get.
the less we fear.
This Firebrand is fine. And let's also run up our session here. Pretty good curve, and this is of course annoying. This is also a card that's used in Frozen Solid, so they're pretty heavy in Frozen Solid, at least 2 to 3 picks. But this is a good card. Not necessarily on our board, because we get halted by a Frostbite pretty hard. So we have 8 mana in total. If 2 units die, we can play this and this. I think I'm just going to pass here. If they want to pass back, that's totally fine with me. And yeah, they don't. So we have to be really aware of Frostbite here. But the reason this not attacking kind of shows me they don't have one, I would say.
Stay back.
But they probably have Frostbite, right? The question is, do I want to trade my Frostbite for their post for their Frostbite? I think this trade is actually okay. Try it out. We know why I went to this one over the Shyvana, I guess because this prevents the trample damage, or wind damage. Here comes the Frostbite, and that's just a 4-mana spell for a 4-mana spell, and I save 4 damage this way. There's something else. Wow, combo man. But again, that's 2 cards from the 1 card, and I can live with that. And I should keep track of the buffed up units. I have 2 stacks now. And yeah, no real way to prevent this from happening, for example.
Burns on.
Now we can just draw a card of our Redeemer here.
Turn the tide of war.
Backup. Yeah. So this turn we have 9 mana. 6 plus 3 comes to 9, or just 5 plus 2 plus 2. And I think I actually like the big one here. This Firebrand takes pretty well into the board and can help flip Shyvana at some point. And also has some Space Shield, so I'm just going to attack here. Only with you. Yes. If this trade happens, I'm fine with it. Then I can like spare, for example, if I need to. Yeah, that's just fine. There's my Shyvana level up, and I can't ever really play a small unit. What's this? Ground Slam. Guess I can't do anything about that.
An auspicious season.
And no really reason to kill any of them. So I guess we can kill the Starlets here. We can just play Remembrance, it seems better. Another Radiant Guardian. That's a little bit... No, I think the other ones are actually created. Then I separated these cards apart because we want to know which card can be buffed. This is not a buffed card. Star Shaping is surprising here. Like they were basically mono valued right now, and now they top deck a Star Shaping, or almost top deck it. Of course, it's pretty good for them. But yes. That basically means we have to be like a little bit more aggressive now. That's definitely not something you can predict. Having Star Shaping here on top. And the Tavern Keeper. So yeah, we want to do stuff here, we want to get stats on the board, and the best stat we have is Shyvana here, and then into the single combat, and just preparing our board here for future turns. We could also pick up a Scratch here or a big elusive, so we have to kind of be proactive here and do stuff. Actually going to block like this and then next bad. Here, a light. This is just because you have to be aggressive. We have like a big invoke now, and they're going to try to kill us. We have to do stuff, we can't just sit around and do nothing. This is also pretty good. I was going to attack here first. This attack doesn't make any sense. Let's just try like this. Okay, interesting. Could they draw a buff card or something? So any elusive they play here would kill us in 2 turns or 2 attacks. But I guess we have the lifesteal card, so that's fine. Yes, this is the elusive we're talking about. Let's see if we actually, we didn't yet play a fixed cost spell. I guess we can do that now actually. Let's just take out this Lissandra here. And then we can cast our Detain. Path is fine.
Will you comply, or are you?
So the Malphite is like a 4 or something, right? Sandra is dead. I have 2 cards in hand. Top deck another Star Shaping, that's definitely a way to do it. But we did our best. We can save this. And here I'm going to start Pain in the unit that's the hardest to kill. So we just have an invoke in hand, and there are all the buffs. So we don't have to worry about those anymore. I'm just going to lead with the Remembrance here. And then we are super wide next turn. We lose our 3-2 here. And challenge. We take the 6 damage. We just capture you now. We know that they can't play this card because it's 7 or more cost. Card here. And now we lose our guy. We have a really big attack here. I don't think that's quite enough. Takes him down to 3. We heal up and flip our Shyvana this way. I think that's definitely worth it. Top deck. Okay, Living Legends. Yes, they have 1 real card and a bunch of invokes. This is why you open attack, because the invokes don't do anything.
Now I take to the
All invoke cards are slow or burst, and the burst ones just draw you cards or reduce cost in your hand. And since we have a very good next turn, we can hopefully close it out. They just have 10 mana here, so they can play like 1 big guy, for example. It should be very hard for them to kill us despite our lifesteal guy. And then they have 1 more turn, they just have 2 cards in their hand. All the fleeting invokes, and then have 1 real card. That's annoying. Back towards our Radiant Guardian.
You guides me.
silver a one of these, so that's a combat or a sisters.
Daylight
Okay.
star will rule the skies.
That's just fine. They can't do anything else. And now they're just basically top deck wars. And we draw Piercing Darkness, which is of course very good.
Blinding daylight.
Interesting attack here. Guess they're not alive. We definitely lock.
Hold back the darkness.
Cold resistance. Yes. Now I can just run out my Silver Vanguard. And run out my Sivir.
Soldiers to me.
It's generated by Swiftwing Lancer. And now this should just do it. Fizz to the left, you away. And now they just have one blocker for our big attack. Unless they top deck a Harsh wins, we should be in one. Nice. So yeah, just a little bit too slow here. My opponent didn't like quite get these payoffs that we needed for the landmarks. Didn't draw Malphite, for example, didn't flip him. Instead tried to be in more of a mid-range value deck. But that sadly doesn't really work out that well against just the stronger archetypes here with our mid-range deck. As for our deck, what can we improve on? This is interesting. Like, we are now double Shyvana, so I would like one more Screeching Dragon. We are not mono Shadow Eyes, so I would like to get rid of this Wave Caller. And we... this trade is not that important for me. Either this one or this one. It's either do we upgrade our good card to an even better card, or do we take our mediocre card and do it and turn it into like another good card. But I think because of our curve, because of how many 4-drops we have, I think we want to get rid of our 4-drop here. My Wave Caller for another Piercing Darkness, just because of our curve. As you can see, we need the Piercing Darkness more than we need the other guy. Okay, third game here versus Darius Taric. Would just be classical blades and buffs here with well, it could just be a full Noxus build around. Against Noxus Targon, I kinda like Kindred. I don't like Shyvana that much because they have like these big attack units. I like Unspeakable Horror. Don't want Remembrance. Because basically, if you look at the typical Noxus curve, like we had it last time, we want to be able to pick down the Glory Seekers. Very unfortunately, we didn't draw any other early game cards. And a very weird start from our opponent, just have nothing. Well, my Doom Beast here, better than wasting mana.
Everything's easier behind a mask.
This is another card that lives like in every bucket, so doesn't really tell us anything about what our opponent drafted. There, then just run into my trap. 3 and 1 face up. That's a very aggressive use of this card. Just preventing 3 damage as the Noxus Targon deck. Interesting. They are probably more like a late game deck then, I'm guessing, I'm not really sure. Why would the Darius use this defensively? House Spider. They don't have a way to kill my, like a Noxian Fervor Kindred. I'm just going to go for it here. Otherwise I don't have a good way to kill her. Otherwise I'm not going to take Kindred into combat here. Because otherwise I can Willing Death. This way Kindred marks the 2-2 and both Full House Spider dies. Need to have a Noxian Fervor here. That's fine. House Spider lives in the bottom archetypes as well. Not a Noxian Might necessarily, but doesn't matter that much. Elixir Wrath lives in both Darius archetypes, so also no news here. So with this draw, it's a little bit awkward. Can you actually not kill stuff with this probably? Let's take with Kindred first here. Actually, let's Let's attack the Kindred first here, because we want him to play units here. We want him to feel safe and be able to play stuff. But now I'm going to pass very aggressively. And they start invoking. Of course, a little bit scary, but these fully random invokes, you only have like a 12% chance to find the actual card you want. So it's not that likely that they have a good answer. And you also have a counter here in this guy. Can we play you without sacrificing stuff? Do that. And let's just pass back. This is a very good draw. Single combat comes in as an option. I actually want to single combat now, because otherwise I can Whirling Death down my unit. That's not what I want. We wait for dual combat, and then I can Whirling Death my Kindred, but against Noxus you never want Whirling Death. Just don't want that to happen. Okay, and we will go for our Nightfall card now. Because it has like another buff, really, because it stays in buffs, I guess they have buffs. This is very good for us, now the Moonbeam is marked, our Kindred flips, this is just perfect.
It knows.
Legion Rearguard, actually play down my Doom Beast now, and do some damage to them once more, I can block this. And yeah, this game is pretty much, I don't know what the invoke is, but it's pretty much over. Just take this block, need not to. And Kindred flips.
Recite, protect me.
Could have held onto that.
One to remember us by.
Okay, we could have held onto that to trigger like Nightfall, similar effects, but I don't think that's necessary here right now. This gives me a random Nightfall card. Let's actually go for that. Okay, nice. Eclipse Dragon, perfect. Now we don't lose the long game either. I'm just going to burst pass here. Let's see what they want to develop.
Line up.
Okay. Don't really care about that. I will just take my damage here. 10 damage. Nexus is good. Of course, don't attack with the 1-1, otherwise Whirling Death. That's the card you always want to play around. Kindred mustn't ever be Whirling Death. And yeah, this one, how do we want to deal with that? Do we think they have like a big buff? I don't think so. Let's just kill it. I think they have nothing. I need like a +2/+0, +0/+2, which they can have from these two cards. This is like the generated one, the invoke. But I think that's pretty unlikely. And nice, another win for our book.
With grace and precision.
And that's really awkward, like why does every Kindred we see have a Spirit Journey in it? Like that's just so sad. But Shyvana also has a Molten Breath in it. So all three are just like, why did we not get good support cards here? I don't understand. There's really like 2 bad cards in the Malefic Descent bucket. Shyvana, Screeching Dragon, don't have enough I think. So I think I will just go for Kindred here, just having a mix of both seems good. Usually I don't like going 2-2, but this is just a totally unplayable card. At least you can use this somewhat, although not as good as the Nocturne. I like Nocturne as well, but like Nocturne is so much worse than Kindred, the champion, even though the support cards are a little bit better. So with the left side here, not what I want to pick up, but if you don't show me any Vengeances and any Aristocrats, I guess you have to take what we have to take. And this is our finished deck here. Let's jump right into okay, versus Scandal City, Cannon, and 6 weird deck. Rumble, this and another Lissandra. Not with Lissandras today. They're just like in an offer here. For this one, I don't think killing this Fizz is a high priority for us. The Journey and Taric Collector are bad, of course. But the other two seem fine. Now I have our overlay open, kind of forgot before. Hope this doesn't mess up our 7 wins. Was the play for Pranks Fizz, that one was obvious. It's the only Battle City Fizz archetype. To act here. Of course, we want one of our 7 3-drops, that would be nice. Also quite good. Yeah, that's definitely awkward. Let's hope we draw some early game here. Otherwise we kinda have a problem. Yeah, like, that's just not whatever allowed to happen in your games. If it's ever happens with you, you're not supposed to lose. I'm going to accept it if I have to lose here. What they should do is they should open attack. But that's not even that much damage, so we're fine. But definitely that should never happen, and it's really unlucky for us to have happened, I think. It's not what on average happens. I'm just going to run out the Kindred. I shouldn't have a good answer for that one.
Expect death.
Anemone. So let me get a second to get my hand tracking right again. That should be correct. Now I want to start taking out these smaller units to make my Kindred able to do stuff. They have no combat tricks really. And we only took a little bit of damage. If this would be an aggressive deck, we would just lose. Go for the prank here, which doesn't matter. Just play the card there. Made this one vulnerable. Fine. Why would we play a prank here? And now we can just play... We just want to play that then. Because I know about it. I guess. 1+0 and vulnerable. I guess I just play that then. If like awkwardly passing my stuff, then you just don't play anything else. Usually that should be fine. Another prank coming down. Making these more expensive. How far is the Fizz from leveling up? So I think I will go for this attack, because this way, even if they have like the 3 sisters and then they can't actually kill this, it's just a frostbite, that's fine. Because you spend 4 mana only to not die, which is not really worth it. How far is the Fizz again? 3 out of 6. Okay, that's risky to play into 6 mana from your opponent. They don't have it, they don't have it. So... kinda like passing here. Like that seems super awkward, but I also don't like passing here though. Good that we don't have any interaction cards, stuff like that. I'm just going to play Shyvana.
Not much longer.
Let's play Shyvana here, not really sure what's the right thing to do is here. This impact is a little bit annoying. We could just play nothing, they would just also play nothing. That wouldn't work out well for us. That's a very good draw. 6, we have 4 more, so we could play like this guy, or we could just play one of our 3 drops. Also play the card I know about, and have like even more mana up. I think I like that.
Dragons, such fascinating creatures.
You always want to, before you play these big effect cards, you always want to have them spend some mana first. And here I'm actually going to attack with Shyvana here. It's like a sacrifice. If they want to block and frostbite, I can live with that. Just block, that's also totally fine, and I can save my lifesteal card. Probably waited until I have like another spell, but I don't. Now they just have a problem with Kindred. Shouldn't have a good answer for Kindred. Entomb. Lissandra's Entomb. Eh? Nothing we can really do about that. Now we can play a Radiant Guardian because our unit died.
Virtue guides me.
The one Thrall comes kinda close to leveling up. We have so much card advantage, you can just block that like 5 times. Yeah, not over, but I think we are in a good way to win this. Here I of course don't, I don't want just play blockers. Play the Sergeant first, who is the best blocker. I want to play multiple blockers if we have to, if we get the chance to do that.
Hold back the
I'm
darkness.
just going to do the obvious blocks. No real reason to be like fancy and stuff. That's basically the point with Bandit City. At Bandit City you have to just play obvious stuff because they don't have that much interaction, they don't have these really good cards. So now our Sergeant dies, which is fine. I'm going to play out my Neverglade Collector here. Yep, that's fine. Our Kindred comes back, that's great. And yeah, let's hold on here.
From lightning and wind, our style is born.
Interesting, that's like a Foxy Ninja's Slicing Dice card. Maybe something I would expect in this deck. Oh, the Mark comes back, that's nice. Take 1 damage from Puff Caps, doesn't really matter. And again, I want to do cheap stuff first before I do the expensive stuff. That should always be the rule. Just play cheap cards first before you play your expensive cards, because your opponent now has to worry about my stuff. For example, now they don't know, do I have Vengeance, do I have... of course, if there's like a literal gameplay reason to do other Civ, and you do the other stuff, but generally you have like a choice of like, what do I do first, what do I do second. And I think the Switching Dragon is good here, like what are they going to do about it? Let's see it. Override my Mark. It's not going to be sustainable for them. Could just pass here. I kinda want to see what they have. Who do we kill? I guess we target Fizz. And take with you and you. That seems to make sense here for me. And have like a harsh winds or stuff, but then I have a harsh winds. Just succumb to the cold, that's fine. This flips, doesn't really matter. We get a lot of trades, we get a lot of life, and we'll never get collector. That's just very good for us. We have like 1 elusive and 1 roll later on. And yeah, this is why Lissandra is a bad champion to pick up. Because of like all these first fights, all these rolls, but don't really do anything. Here we just refusing darkness anything they play. Sure, that's fine. It's a -1, -0. And let's just take the damage, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to say this last card is not a spell, and I'm going to say that. Just also play normally and just develop.
Will you comply, or are you complicit?
Opponent thinking here. I will just go for a big for Demacia, swing next turn. For Demacia into the Mage Seeker Investigator, Pain. A good plan. Are you thinking about what to get vulnerable here? This last card could definitely be a spell as well. Could just target the Thunder here. Or even the Shark. As a target First of all, I eat this. Again, we use smaller stuff first. I might play stuff. I will just Piercing Darkness. I don't feel well about targeting this Fizz, so I guess I'm just taking out the long tooth here. Gives me Detain and makes my open attack, like my body master play, really powerful. Lissandra gets her first uptick. Yeah, we're just going in. Go, body master. Yeah. Seems like a lot of damage to me. And that just passed, it's very smart of them, but...
Put an end to magic.
If we go for this block, we can just go for the Detain here. And they can't block any other unit, so this just kills them. So they can't block like this. They have to sacrifice Lissandra or have a Frostbite. And this kind of forces their hand. Most people wouldn't attack with the Never Collector here. But we have this Detain. Now they have the Frostbite.
Brilliant.
And now I can just Detain you away. And my Never Collector survives, doesn't get the strike of course. Still worth it. Fizz is down. And they are at 4 life. It would be pretty hard for them to come back. And yeah, no cards in hand, just get 1 back at the start of the turn. And now we have all of our units are basically lethal, and even our Astral Fox. This will be my first Astral Fox kill. I'm excited to do so.
Brilliance is forever.
GG, my friend. Would have like an Entomb or stuff, but usually that's just great. Nice. Okay. Then we did some quests, yay. And what are our trades? Oh, that looks good. Tasty. I like the top trade, just getting rid of these Astral Foxes. My 1 Astral Fox for a good card. Session also seems fine as a trade. Don't really want this understability. So let's just get rid of Astral Fox. Sorry, my friend, but you are just not that good. Again, it's a little bit of an awkward high curve. We have to live with what we have. Next match here versus Katarina and Shyvana. So Katarina, always the Relentless archetype. Interested in seeing multiple Katarinas here. Probably a 2-2 split. And Shyvana is of course some random dragon shenanigans. I'm going to keep my 2-drop because it will be aggressive, but I'm going to mulligan the rest away. Katarinas usually don't have these Glory Seeker openings necessarily. And I'll do it anyways. So Dragon Chow makes me think more of a dragon deck then. Of course, like, we are pretty good against dragons because Piercing Darkness and Kindred are very good. But
Ask me about
we have to find Kindred of course,
evidence.
otherwise it will just not work out.
If they don't break,
And that's a
they'll
combo.
burn.
Sure. That card is a
Make
little
the
bit weird.
Empire
I don't think this lives in any Relentless. Check it. Actually.
Clear it out.
I'm going to block.
Not the egg.
Ratings. And yeah, let's just play our 3-drop here while we
Nagakabura
Hello.
sends her blessing.
I'm just looking up where this Demolitionist lives. Let's see. Demolitionist. Battle Scars and Mega Keg. So only 2 archetypes, we don't know whether they've picked up either Battle Scars or Mega Keg. What that means is they might have more combat tricks here, or more direct damage spells. Like a Scorched Earth would be more likely now.
Fire and
Yes,
fury
Luxuriety,
burn in
stuff
me.
like that. That's what you can read off of the units they play.
Oh, I can't
This
wait.
makes me think more Battle Scars, because that's also a card that lives in Battle Scars and Blades and Buffs. They probably
Suffer
picked
my
up a
fury.
Battle Scars bucket. I'll be afraid of anything here. Repost would be a little bit annoying. I think I'm fine. Let's repost. You want to repost? They don't have a repost, otherwise I would have done it more quickly. And yeah, even if they have a repost, it's 4 mana for 4 mana, so it's not that bad. Oh, Screeching Dragon, it's very good for us. This is like the typical card you have in your Katarina decks, the Legion Drummer. Let's go for a 3-cost card. And no need to develop any further. I would like to prefer having the spell mana. So let's get out our Screeching Dragon. And this of course is our famous Shyvana flip. Okay. Challenge away something with the Screeching Dragon and then flip our Shyvana. For a game plan of any Shyvana deck.
For the honor of my house.
Now they can actually Whirling Death down my Shyvana, which is annoying. So, do we want to play around the Whirling Death here on my Shyvana? We could just challenge, for example, the 3-3 here. We get Whirling Death to just challenge the Dragon Shower away. And I think I actually like preventing this for one turn. The Whirling Death happening. Because they have like so much mana floating, they have nothing else better to do than the Whirling Death, and it's very bad for them. If it just lose 2 mana here. And this denies them a card in the future, just makes the Dragon bigger. Then we can still flip Shyvana next and see. Now they lose 2 mana. Otherwise, if we would have attacked with everything, they would have just gone for the Whirling Death. Now they will attack us, then we can just do small blocks and the Whirling Death down our units, but maybe now this guy is too big for them.
Fascinating creatures.
Okay. Kinda want to go with the cheaper unit again.
The more we learn, the less we fear.
I just want the dragon immediately.
Where's my journal?
And now I think we can just go for the Lector.
Lovely day for a battle.
They kinda have to attack, like they can't just sit around and do nothing as Noxus versus Shadow Eyes. They have to do something. Dead by default. What is your game plan? Here, again, I will do the same thing. Just get my Screeching Dragon damage in. Actually, what I can do now is Spirit Journey away stuff. I don't think I have to. I will just take the level up here on the Shyvana. They very clearly shown me that they have Whirling Death. I'm just going to Whirling Death. That's interesting. That's interesting. Guess I just stop that? But that's annoying.
Keep formation.
Because we know that don't get our level up. But they also have a full board, so a little bit of a board stall here. Hopefully they don't have like the Sivir or something next turn. So we can just pass back. There's the own Shyvana. I think I will just go for the Piercing Darkness here. Let's take out their champion and go from there. Even Piercing Darkness again. And now I'm kind of afraid of, like, I think I'm ahead a little bit, but now I'm afraid of the Sivir, of the big Sivir, so I'm just going to go for the big open attack. Doesn't make sense. Now I either have to take a ton of damage or have a weaker Sivir, like the 10 mana Sivir, is what I'm playing around here. Otherwise I can beat everything else. Here comes the Whirling Death. Judgment. And this is so risky. Why do you have a Judgment? It's so risky. What if I have like a Vengeance here? You just lose out the game straight up. Sucks. You still get the Shyvana level up. Definitely didn't see a Judgment coming. Because Judgment doesn't actually live in any of the buckets they showed me so far. So that's definitely surprising. Judgment lives in... oh, Dragon's Descent. I guess I'm stupid. Dragon's Descent, Grand Norman Suda. I remembered Grand Norman Suda, but this is not Dragon's Descent. So, kind of my fault here for not remembering the buckets correctly, but it's fine. We can refuel, we can rebuild, start up with our Remembrance, and then go for the Eclipse Dragon. Also got to go in Milius Vox and then Spirit Leech. I like that more.
This world is finished.
Now we really lose to the big Sivir, but if they have double epic, like they have double epic, like nothing we can do about that. And the card that won in the game then is not the big Sivir, but the Judgment. Another game doesn't really matter. So they have double epic, back to back. Was annoying, but manageable, I would say. I think I would just go double 5 here. Seems to be the best line here. Block. Block.
To victory!
Block. I think I'm just going to jump block one of them. Could also go to 2 here, it would be reversed. But if we jump block one of them, we can flex there afterwards. I know they get like life from that. Allows us to flex there, like 9-4 as we got threat and 10-3. Also go for the east. I think this is just an automatic lethal. Like, let's see here. So they would block, take 2, block 2, 3, and then heal up again. That wouldn't actually work out that well. What else do you want to do here? You could just kill something. But I guess forcing these inefficient blocks is not the worst. So then I could have gotten a Judgment. Not sure, I'm just going to develop here. Another big unit. Rika is annoying. Rika is very annoying. Snare our cards. I think we can just make them block with Arika. Like if we attack like you. Just challenge away all of the other 4 units. Like this, then they are forced to block my Irelia blocks, and then we get back our... Oh, that doesn't work, we die. What? No! Come on! Like, what is this? Ah! Like, just get super lucky or that... what is this? Like, fine. Like, we knew that I had the Wearing Death Mechanic, that was my fault for forgetting about that. That's so stupid. Ah! That's actually so stupid. We knew they had that as well. That's the problem. I think we're still ahead, slightly, but... Ah, that was my fault. Sorry for being like... I should be angry at myself, not at my opponent. It's just like... oh my god. What is this? Like, just have... this is the 3rd epic you play in a row. The 3rd good epic, I should say. That's... busted. I guess this health doesn't really matter. I should have had the other one. Go for the value here first, and you can play Ruby spells next time. Hey, let's try this again. You can challenge, and I don't even have to block with this, that's annoying. What a long and grindy game, that's crazy. Usually if you have like a Vengeance, you fail a Vengeance with a Judgment, you fail a Vengeance with the other guys, you will just beaten this easily. But just the triple epics made this a really grindy game, and we never draw Kindred. If you ever drew Kindred, we would have won already. But tough. Let's play Sivir here.
And a long path to get here.
It's all optimal, like other lines I considered was being like the Dragon, killing my 1-1 or just striking my Nexus. Then you have the Piercing Darkness open. Are you serious? Yeah, I'm not believing you this time.
Stands in our way.
I don't believe you here at all. Show me a second judgment. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Play it. Do it. Okay, that's fine. These are lay effects. I guess I can just like resummon my guy then. How much damage is this? 12? 13, that kills him, right? Let's try. I'm going to go for the kill here. If they have another Burning Death, they have another Burning Death. They don't, they die. No, come on! Like, come on! Oh my god. Just like draw. Like, this is such a perfect draw for me. Draw the early game, Yeah, that's what we kind of did as well, but we have Shadow Eyes and they are Noxus, so like, we will see how it goes out. Like, it's just like draining on for no reason. They have 3 cards in hand, we have 8. That's a real annoying part. They have no way to win this. How do you win this? Like, you can have like big dragons now, but you need like an Eclipse Dragon. Katarina doesn't really matter. Just silence her. Going to pass here. The judge is so far ahead on card advantage. That's so hard. Here we have to kind of play something. Play the dragon. About this. These games are so exhausting. A 20-minute game, it's so exhausting. Fine. We have another Wearing Death. Congrats, you won the game. Let's trade.
This might hurt.
Okay, goodbye, one Katarina. And we get some good top decks here. Developing a little bit of a top deck war because they top deck like 7 epics and we top deck like remembrances and stuff. So how important is it to get my Neverglade collector back? I think it's a good start. Let's see here. Okay, another dragon. Well, like, what are you supposed to say? Just draw a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a Noxus. Just like to start killing stuff. Wait, this doesn't even kill it. Oh, come on! Like, what are these draws? Can't draw one single early game card. Like, what are these draws? Just draw champion, champion, rally, dragon, dragon, dragon. It's just stupid. they drew any 2-drop in this game, would have easily won this by now. No, dragon. Now watch them draw another Katarina. I redraw a 2-drop. Okay, that's not bad.
Our ancestors are watching.
Okay, that's not bad.
Everything's
Okay, that's
easier
not
behind a
good
mask.
for them. Okay, that's kind of what had to happen for us to still win.
The dragon awakens.
That's not very good, but
We will not hesitate.
let's go for the attack here. Otherwise they stun us. It's a bad block. Now we can do this.
Injustice.
Okay, one card. What is the one card? Come on! Like, what is this? Get ahead by 10 cards and the opponent just keeps throwing 10 drop. 10 tens. Like, what is this? This is stupid. Never draw a Kindred. So insane. It's actually not bad. Don't play up other units here.
Victory lies ahead.
It's not a bad card to have. So draw, like, I don't know. But this is technical. Okay, Kindred is good. Kindred is very good here. Kindred is super good. Let's go for it. Kindred and Global Way. Not sure what this last card is again. We have to like do stuff, otherwise we die. It's done. Go for it. If we do it with one blocker, and we have all that. It's our. I guess the draw is evened out a little bit, but like still. Double Taric in. Nice. GG, that was an amazing match. Oh. GG, that was a very long and grindy match.
The chase ends.
More lie ahead.
Oh. Die Katarina, not overpowered. Take from that. Okay, nice first Vengeance, definitely want that. Like, makes the deck even more top heavy, but Vengeance is just such a good effect. Imagine us having one Vengeance in the last game. Would have been over like half an hour ago. Would have won 3 for 1 Vengeance. By the way, I don't really fully recommend you drafting this way. My reason for not taking any more early game or stuff is because we first of all have these spells that can be used for spell mana, like Remembrance, Piercing Darkness. Even if we are on 3, we face like a LeBlanc, we can Piercing Darkness LeBlanc, which isn't great, but is something. And we also have a ton of lifesteal. If you count our lifesteal, that's 3, that's 7, and then that's 15. So we can heal for a total amount of 22 here in a normal, like if we draw all of our lifesteal, and 22 life and backup means you can have a little bit less early game. That's why I'm like trading away this stuff. Would still like to have some Hapless Aristocrats or something, but beggars can't be choosers. Next deck is an Azir Irelia set list. Very interesting to see what that's all about. I don't know what the PNC is all about. It seems like a kind of newer player to me who just heard that Irelia is good and then drafted that. Let's replace those two and the signs for newer player would be like no mastery in any of those. This would be like a Smurf account. It's maybe unlikely in expeditions. Let's see, can you see that? Oh, sorry for the overlay. Yeah, no play here.
Azir's command!
This is exactly what I mean. If you have to, on turn 3, we could actually like just play out the Piercing Darkness. And for that exact reason, I won't play my Eckert Researcher because it just doesn't do anything. 1, 2 doesn't need to be blocked. Then we play a Green Blade Duo here. If I go for the set here, we can just Piercing Darkness that. I don't care about you. Just play my Sentinel here.
Is a lure in the dark.
So Azir doesn't really matter. I was worried about the set here. You can just like kill the Azir in the base sometimes.
Arise!
Don't care about Shaped Stone and stuff. And again, we can take damage because we have already 5 left. We're still at full life, for example, here. Azir is at 4. And yeah, let's just play our Shyvana, go from there. To be honest, better the earlier you get it down, so I like playing more than Remembrance, or like, this doesn't do you anything, they just have a 1-5. 3, 6.
The order rewards its faithful.
Okay, it's a little bit of a surprising card, but yeah, about that. I value the spell mana more than their units, so if they play something really dangerous, we can
It's too
Using
late
Darkness
for
it.
you.
If they recall it, sure, they basically spend 6 mana dealing. Wow. That's risky, my friend, but I guess it works out this time. I'm fine with that, like that's 5 damage that's not going to our face. Nexus. I'm totally fine with that. Because here, as you saw, we are pretty good in late game, so we will definitely out late game this guy. So I'm not afraid of that at all. We're interested what this PNC is about. It's more
Man
here.
or beast, they will all fight for me.
Here I kinda like Piercing Darkness because it also shuts down the Tomb here. I don't get this attack at all. Levels of power. Ugu Sentinel. They have the Shade Stone, seriously. They recall, I don't care. Main point is, like the recall, you just can look at it like, okay, this is just a card, and they like a hit of improvement for 1 mana. And they just have another copy of Azir in their hand, doesn't really matter. And this one, I will pass first of all, and then I will play my Conservator first, to not show them what I'm up to. And either I don't know what I want to be doing here. And then I'm just going to play another Shyvana, I think. Again, Shyvana getting down early is better, because then you can level her up, maybe, and play Switch and Dragon next time.
Time to get my hands dirty.
Not really afraid of what they're going to play here. They have like more disciplines, more 2-for-1s, I'm totally fine with that. I think that's that. Not sure what that is. Maybe they had a Mystic Shot and thought they can Mystic Shot my Shyvana after combat, forgot about Fury or Aftershock or something. And again, 2-for-1, take those. And again, it's all damage, it doesn't go to a Nexus. That's always what you have to think about. Aftershock could be 3 damage to Nexus. You should be happy if they Aftershock your Shyvana there.
Men die, but Sharima lives
Here I kinda
forever.
want to have a way to kill this as here. I kinda don't. Like I can go Remembrance 50-50. I like this thing. Just go Remembrance, if they hit a 5-5 then the Azir can attack. Nice. That should make it hard for them to attack.
No mercy for those
Wow.
who desecrate our home.
They will find our lands do not take well to intruders.
Okay, that's a combo.
It is time!
12 out of 13. That's quite a good combination of cards here. Irelia is at 8. So Irelia doesn't flip on the next attack, Azir does. How do we want to deal with that? Kinda still like forcing the Azir to attack here. So it's going like you, and you.
Move or cease.
This way a unit dies and then we can Black Spare the Irelia. And then I guess the Azir gets split here. That's what I'm going to do.
In Sharima's
Very
name.
helpful. This way the Azir is forced to attack and we can actually put some damage on it. It's definitely annoying. So Irelia is down, don't have to worry about her anymore. nice, they don't even go for it. Why would you not attack them? Why would you not attack them? Let's see the levels, and it comes to 2-6. So the fact that they didn't attack here shows me that they probably don't have any good answer here for my open attack. If they have like a Shade Stone, they will just attack us. So that means one Azir is down. Probably also means they don't have a second Azir because Azir is a rise for the safety Azir there. Or I just read into this way too much. Just I have like a good
Give me grace enough to mask my doubt.
stop.
Sink your fear.
So Azir is now flipped, of course. This is the best Irelia Azir deck I've seen in a while. And yeah, let's just play our Navigate Collector just for life gain. And then like take a researcher probably.
I'm something of an aspiring dracologist.
How'd you do that?
Taric student again, which is 200 units. Just have to kind of survive here to win. As a Navigate Collector. And we have no real answer for that.
See what we see, soldier.
Yeah, the unit here. Again, we just have to survive. Doesn't even matter if our units die in the process. Navigate Collector wins this game. Definitely a very strong deck here. Like, I'm really surprised by that. Silent as well, like, what? Silent lives in like discipline set, I guess. Yeah, that's a very good draw. Okay, accept. That's like a crazy draw. And the one mana Sandstone Chimera. Nice top deck. But okay, you just have to survive. Objective is to survive. Don't have to kill them. Just have to survive. Navigate Collector finishes. So just survive. You can block you. Can block you. Yeah. Okay, then we can either block here with the this jump block is okay. This block is okay. We go like you. Wait, how does this happen?
What is this?
So yeah, don't really know this kind of block stuff here. And couldn't have let this unblocked because if they have like a double shaped stone available. It was kind of bad. No, no, no! Okay, that's kind of fine. What's that? A very good card to have here. Now we can hopefully just out-tempo them with more multiple units. So we Vanguard first. And we will Swift and Flight.
Spin it round, throw it down.
Come on! With the Blinding Assault. Has card in hand. Okay, doesn't matter. I think we are wide enough here. Like, our Future Dragon comes through. Our Navigate Collector comes through and those 4 die. So we will. Yeah, really close match. Crazy. Why do they have? They just had Aftershock, but I don't know what they had here. They actually want to challenge in a way that all of our units die. Then they just. Oh wait, yeah, what I'm about to say, like, if the challenge in a way that all of our units die, like this, GG. Very close game. And that way we are in the final battle. Okay, so before we go to the 7 wins for the final battle, let's look at our deck really quickly. We have a little bit of a problem with early game, like we need a little bit more early game here. Otherwise, I think we have a very strong deck. Triple Piercing Darkness, Vengeance, Screeching Dragons, Shyvana, just all the cards that are powerful in expeditions. And yeah, let's just head to our trade picks, 7 trade picks here. Don't want Dragon Chow. Vengeance seems like an upgrade over the single combat, although it's my only single combat, so I kinda like that. I don't like Runeterra. Atrocity, not for an early game card, we want to keep our early game units. This is actually interesting. I never played this card. Be decent. But also be not be decent. I think I keep on. Now I want to try this actually. Does this do anything or is it just a bad card? Doombeast is kinda mediocre anyways, so let's try out the Wings and the Wave. The Barrel would be fine, but don't want Dragon Shower. And yeah. I like One Room Vanguard, has an early game. I also like to trade away these Spirit Journeys. I think that should be my higher priority, just getting rid of these awful cards for upgrading others. So this goes to 1, goes to 7. And then we can get rid of the other one. Let's just do that immediately. Another card I like, this Spirit's Journey. Okay, other trades. I don't like Little Ritter. Either Fiend is like too high risk. We don't have any early sacrifice cards. I want to trade away our Screeching Dragon, of course. Agate Researcher is good early game. This is also good early game. So keep. And I don't want 2 the Wings in the Wave. This Golden Aegis is interesting as an effect. How many 3-drops do we actually have? 5 only. No, I think I still need my early game. I can't go for the greed here. That's a skip. Then let's go to the final battle here. Finding an opponent immediately. Quite interesting. Against Pantheon Sivir here. Pantheon mixed up with Shurima, Lucky Find, stuff like that. This is like a matchup where you having a Vengeance would just straight up win you the game. Sadly we don't. I don't think I need the Wings in the Wave. I will keep these other 2 units. Probably not even the Zwickelhorror, because they have like big units, most likely. We can go 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. Have our plan set up for us. Here comes the Saga Seeker.
Die when I am ready.
Will we lose to this OP 1-drop, as Misrael would say.
If it's made of sand, I can ride it.
I'm not really care of the trade here. Of course it's a little bit going down in value, but this is just a very good 2-drop, and you can't just take for damage with an OP. So you can go down on 1 mana this way, and play this for free basically, but nothing we can do about that.
The sea is too shallow a grave.
So far just playing on curve. If they're like weird here and don't play anything, and that would have been nice to stop that, but you just Kindred and then mark it and then it dies. So 1 level up for the Pantheon. I don't count Sivir by the way, but it's just 2 TDs. So let's think about the region combinations. They can't have any way of killing my Kindred here. So to run her out. And then out. If they have no card in the region combinations that can kill our Kindred here. And now what we can do is actually open pass, and they have to waste all the mana or play another unit. If they play another unit here, we get to Screeching Dragon and then mark the other guy. We just want to do that immediately with a single combat, they can't react to. However, we can react to that. I think just the Screeching Dragon is the best here. Now we can actually mark the Tor and then kill it. Interesting. We're going to go for it. Don't know what this is, or could this be? We need a lot of buffs to make this not worth. We'll just pass as well. Don't think they have something that good. What is this? Hourglass. Okay, like that's fine. Invoking here. Pretty fast invoke. But that's a little bit scary here now. Okay. Hourglass is not a card I expect. I guess it lives in Sivir card pools, but I just kinda didn't expect it here.
A soldier stands among us. We are all
Pantheon.
soldiers this day.
Guess I'm just going for the Shyvana here. Really have to get rid of these small units this time.
I serve
So
my
we can
people
actually mark the bigger
with
ones.
pride.
Moonglow, that's annoying. The main way of killing the Pantheon will be with the Kindred mark anyways. Doesn't really matter. And let's then attack first.
To death I go.
They have another combat trick here. Don't believe you. Will not believe you. I guess I can do it like this and then go for you. Should work out. So even if there's like a pale cascade here, their guy still should die if I calculate correctly. Or it doesn't. It's still fine because Kindred attacks at the smaller guy and next time we can go for a big. Still a lot of damage, but what can you do?
Softly.
Pantheon is at 3 life. It's really tick upticks. I would like to just. Can they stop a piercing darkness? I don't think so, right? Bastion would stop it. I'm going to go for it. Let's see if that's like if that marks the Pantheon, we get just in the game. Otherwise I can just play more stuff. This way, this should deal with the Pantheon. GG. We want to play on or
Sand and trouble far as the eye can see.
and yeah, Saga Seeker totally not OP. Kindred OP. Now they should have a big problem with developing my units. If they don't develop, we develop, we just that's a bit hard to have for them. Let's just play our Accurate Researchers last time.
Dragons, such fascinating creatures.
We can play our Swiftwing Lancer, Navigate Collector afterwards. We'll just trade away my Bubu Sentinel.
Ha! Knew I saw something near the cascade.
I roll again with you. This is sad. So now what we can do is actually pass here because they have these fleeting lucky finds. If they don't want to use them, that's fine with me. I first want to see what they get here and then we can decide what our plan is. So big attack.
And I thought there
There's
was
a naturalist.
something to see.
Okay, that's fine. Just more fodder for Kindred. I have one last card in hand. Like one real, like unknown card. Let's actually do the Shyvana line here. We just take down. Actually don't have to do it immediately. Play this out as line. What do we get?
Worth the ride.
Challenger. Making sense. Not actually smart.
They are nothing. End them.
This seems good. Still get 2+2+2 and a Shyvana flip.
Witness my true power.
That was a good move from my opponent. Does this way his 5 gets marked and not my left is 5-4.
They will.
Still seems like pretty hard for them to win. Would probably involve a second Pantheon, so we should be prepared for that. I don't know how we can prepare for that. Like card drawing and stuff. Smith Blade. Yeah, seems like it's the end of our Kindred. Unless we drain from our own unit, that our Kindred would survive through that. Now we are at 20, we still have a Kindred around, shouldn't really be able to kill her that easily.
Steal from the rich and give to the earth.
Now we just draw, try to find a vengeance. Okay, this is why Kindred is so OP.
The dead do not want us to mourn, but live.
Okay, that's fine. Attack. Take the Shyvana now, that's fine. Take with this one as well, oh he just dies. Yeah. Now we can play Remembrance on 4 mana.
Its heart beats fast now.
It knows.
And this should just be lethal, they have like 1.5 cards in hand. Should just kill them most of the time.
Turn away.
So much damage.
Your funeral.
Not working out. Even if it doesn't work out, like even if they survive this turn, they still super win this.
Do not stand against me.
Okay, so they do survive. It's fine. Let's play one more turn. I don't think they can really kill us here. So I'm going to go for the Researcher here with hope for Pantheon, of like an elusive for Pantheon. And
This
I
brings
don't
up a
have the
feeling.
Pantheon either. That's just going to keep my watch space open in case I want to really play something. And yeah, I want to see them coming back from this.
A gift from the stars.
And we can just hold up our vengeance and redraw. You have the Pantheon. I don't even know what Pantheon would need. Elusive Scout, Space Shield.
Blood or gold, I always get my share.
Funny thing is, Sivir can't even attack here,
It's
so
just
Sivir just
waiting to
does
be
nothing.
found.
Because we can just like, block you.
Foolish.
It doesn't even do anything.
Wonder how much this is worth.
Yeah, Wounded Flame, give him like a little bit of play rate. Nice, GG. And there you have it, 7-0 with Kindred once more.
Hunted down.
With grace and precision.
And it gives us our chest as well, very nice. Get some rewards for our work. And yeah, let's see what options we have here. The Taric chest has pretty easy option in the Weapons of the Lost. Field promotion, not even expeditions, and just a burst spell. This is also just a burst spell, but these creates cards. This is like big on the board and also makes this prismatic shield breaker. Yeah, pretty nice choice. Welcome to the club, Weapons of the Lost. 25 essence as well. Okay, let's move over to the review. Okay, welcome to the review. Unfortunately, Elder Guardian was not open or was like bugged when I first started this. Sometimes I started and then it just doesn't get opened, or like I think it runs in the background and it doesn't just run. So we kind of missed the first few games, and this game versus Magnak got recorded twice. But let's still take a look at the deck. This was the Darius and Taric, so double Darius and one Taric. And they moved into the landmark bucket, interestingly enough. They started off with a hard to tell Pale Cascade Crystal Ibex. Not really sure what this Taric was. Like, could be both Tarics. And of course the Mononoxus Darius. There's not a Blood on the Ice Darius because it doesn't have the landmark. And just built a decent mid-range deck. Seems like a good curve, and see all the cards, so 31. Seems like a decent deck, can go far, but also a little bit awkward with how many late game cards it has. And this is just kind of weak versus our... Interestingly enough, they had triple Noxian Fervor, so we could have been getting wrecked here by our Kindred play. They luckily didn't have it. Interesting. Didn't expect triple Noxian Fervor out of this deck. Then we had our final boss, quote unquote, dead by default. With, like I said, the 2-2 split, Katarina, Shyvana, and 23 plus 9, 32, so we're missing 4 cards here, and those are the 4 Screeching Dragons. So they have 4 Screeching Dragons, double Katarina, Judgment, an early game double Dragon Chow, and then just 5 2-drops, and only 1 3-drop, so that's like the weak spot, the 3-cost slot. We have a lot of space for 3, but still. And yeah, we kind of saw all of the late game and beat all of the late game. So we managed to beat double Katarina, like triple Screeching Dragon, double small Katarina, Irelia. So that's just like, shows you how solid our Shadow Eyes late game plan is. We even beat the Judgment. But yeah, really solid deck. Should definitely go 7 as well. Don't know what Katarina is doing and why there's so many weird units in that. Yeah, weird curve, but works out, it works out. And was a very close game. GG to my opponent here. Definitely enjoyable. Then this one, let's see why they have PNC in it. Practical Perfectionist Aftershock. So I guess they picked up PNC once and then never again. Otherwise they're just like a really solid 32 again, 4 cards missing. Sunset Tomb is here. Kindred Duo is here. Not quite sure what the 4th card is missing are. Dancer is here. I have no idea. But they're really like interesting deck. It's more for combo strategy, but they have the backup, they have double recall, they have the 2 disciplines. Don't really like the Waking Sands or stuff, but they also have the Shadow Assistant for like some card advantage, and Dynam is very powerful. So I can definitely see this deck going to 7 as well. Some weird cards in it, but overall still pretty solid. Not just like a 3 color mid-range pile. But just one pick of Time Lords or Dick Lurkers in there. And then we had our final boss, the Pantheon Taric. And 2-2 split, I would never do that. I would always go 3 Pantheon, 1 Sivir. But don't like this 2-2 split at all. Double Saga Seeker, we see 20, 31. 5 off is missing. Sinif Blade. I'm so bad at remembering my opponents, like what they played and stuff. Sinif Blade, Pale Cascade I guess is missing, so they had 5 Pale Cascades. That's very interesting. So 5 Pale Cascades makes the deck way better. But of course you see in Sivir, if you pick up Sivir, you have these weird cards showing up, like Inner Sanctum, Ancient Hourglass, Payday. Those are fine, but not really the best. And then in the Packs and Pets bucket in Pantheon, we have like, and they picked up one Glacial Landmarks with the Lunar Priestess and Eye of the Rahurak. I got a second one with the Guardian. It is, yeah, two off picks, but otherwise very focused deck, very solid deck, and 5 Pale Cascades is pretty insane. But luckily we got the Pantheon mark and Kindred. I think Kindred is really strong against Pantheon, against Saga Seeker. This card definitely has its counters. So lastly, we leave us with our deck, and let's take a look at it as well. We had a 2-2 split, but more because of the support cards, because our 2 champions fill the same role, If they survive combat, they just win. If they stay on the board for 1 or 2 attacks or 1 or 2 turns, they just win. And we kind of played them in the mid-range shell. I usually like Kindred more in an aggressive shell. That's my favorite one, where you just have the threat to kill them, but if you don't kill them, you just get incremental value with Kindred. And then mid-range is also okay, you can also play them in control. Mid-range is what we did here. We had like so many different threats that we actually probably didn't have time to kill our Kindred or invest a lot of resources into it. And then yeah, Conservator was kind of a filler, not really the best deck for it. Draw that card. Like Researcher, always good, hold down the board early and gave us these Eclipse Dragons for example. Same with Unspeakable Horror, just giving us these very powerful late game cards oftentimes. And just being a good early game play. Blue Sentinel, as you saw, was staying on the board quite long. Against the Irelia deck it was quite good. Doom Beast was okay as usual. Investigator won us one game, because we had like a lot of late game cards, so definitely a solid unit, but it turns into a deck. Dragon, I think I drew once, and just kind of got killed. Vanguard, also like, was decent. Our Navigate Collector. This is actually the card that surprised me the most. I didn't think Navigate Collector would be that good in our mid-range pile, but this card actually really surprised me. I think I would re-evaluate it a little bit after this run. Like, put in the work. A Spirit Leech. Just drew some cards. I think, interestingly, we only drew like Spirit Leech once, I think. Radiant Guardian pretty strong in our like these like stuff decks. Leeching Dragon as usual pretty strong, with Financer also good. In combat our fast interaction spell, like Spare, as you saw, kills a lot of things. Irelia for example was very important to take this down. We never drew our riposts, I think. Suppression, but not too multiple times, it's just a very flexible spell. Piercing Darkness also pretty powerful, a little bit expensive, I would prefer Vengeance usually, but the Lifesteal also came in handy. And Remembrance as usual a very powerful hand. So this is just a good solid deck you can aim for. Not the strongest deck ever, I would have preferred like 6 Screeching Dragons or 6 Vengeances over this pile, but even this pile can go to 7 wins pretty easily as you saw. So let's conclude our video here. Sadly this is still bugged. Is it still bugged? No, it shows up here. So they fixed one bug at least. My expedition page work again. Nice. Nice! 7-0. Pretty good. If you watched my education video, there's such a sad loss, but otherwise pretty good. And yeah, I hadn't played enough expeditions in the recent time because I was so focused on just doing these abridged runs. One of them takes like 20 hours or something to edit, at least for me because I'm bad at editing. But yeah, glad that Eloralian works again and that it picks up our stats again. Yeah, now, how far on the leaderboard are we? That you can check that out as well. Now 14 again. Other people fighting for this place. Sihio overtook us, Bananat overtook us, Arthemok very far ahead. Yeah. So this average wins rating, I don't really like that because, for example, you saw here in our expeditions page, like a little bit rambling now, but I had resigned this run, for example. This was a decent Ashe deck, but I just got rid of it because it didn't have any new champions in it. Like, because Ashe was kind of new, but I wanted to showcase other champions first. So this is why my average win rate is a little bit lower. If you go actually into my matches and filter by expeditions, hello. You can see 71% win rate overall with 1000 wins and 422 losses. So like the average expedition trial rate is lower for me, but I sometimes reset content, reset like trials for content, but the overall win rate is still pretty high. And of course, like actually that's the best region, 73.85. This is gold. That's my worst. The Marcia Nox is 93%. Funny. Monoshurima, 88%. It did not track the other one, did it? Triple region, 0%. Value at Shadow Isle, 0%, that can't be true. I did not record my Anivia run, for example. Yeah, we know this is just rambling at this point. But thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.